my mother was in a concentration camp in Nazi Germany when she was 14 years of age.
It doesn't matter that it wasn't you that enslaved people. It does not matter that it wasn't you who invented this system of racism. You are benefiting from it by virtue of being white.
It's not like they're saying, oh, all Asian people are criminals, or all Asian people are dangerous, or drug dealers, like they do about some Black and Latinx people. But what they say about us is kind of like, we don't matter. Like our voices aren't important to the conversation, and we're not a threat to the dominant society, which of course is not true.
Most Native American people do not consider Mexican, Latino people that. They consider them indigenous as well, because we were here long before these borders ever crossed us. These are our cousins, these are our relatives.
I grew up an Afro-Latina, Puerto Rican ancestry in New York City. I am mixed race, Black and Latina, and with that background, I have seen the ways in which regardless of what my own personal identity has been, the reaction to me has been based on what I look like.
Never in my lifetime did I think I would be married, and I am. Never in my lifetime did I think an openly gay man could become candidate for President of the United States and be a viable candidate, and Pete Buttigieg is.
When I first moved to the United States, I thought that it was going to be very open-minded.
I ran for my first election when I was in the first grade, having moved to America when I was 2 years old. And it was really evident to me that as I sat around my first grade classroom to be the classroom organizer, that there were kids around that table that were not girls and that weren't people of color.
When the origin of police was established, blacks were slaves. So the mindset of the way law enforcement looks at people of color, right, it was never good.
So when another man tells me, I don't think you need to carry a gun, they've never been in my position. They're not there, they're not me. They can fight off somebody their size. I can't fight off somebody who's twice my size.
The ability to own a handgun legally or illegally is a fascination. There's more guns that we have in America than we have people.
Historically, gun control came right after emancipation, right after, African Americans fought for their liberation. During emancipation, right after that, the first rules to prevent people of color in America from having firearms was right after that.
So I was born in China. I grew up in Libya and spent some time in Saudi Arabia before moving to Mali, West Africa. And I grew up seeing women marginalized. They had to wear hijabs. They could not, in some areas such as Saudi Arabia, they could not drive.
And that we do have power and that we are gonna vote. And if they don't do the right thing, we will vote them out. So this is what I'm trying to do, is help Muslim Americans get plugged into the policy-making process, and that's exactly what Polygon is about.
I'm an unabashed Jesus follower, and I am married to the love of my life, whom I also met in seminary. And I am passionate about justice, and in particular justice for around sexuality and gender.
My family was very strict. I was raised by my grandparents. My mother was a substance user. She abused drugs, and she was also a prostitute.
I am out as a sex worker, and I have a tendency at parties to describe myself as a professional mouthy whore.